Jai Shri Krishna to all of you and welcome to our Anandam series. Today, our session will be on Gita verse chapter 2:11. Be wise. And these series are based on 108 mantras to awaken my soul and also my question and God's answers. And both the books are on Amazon bestsellers. And pranam to Guruji, Hariharji Maharaj. With his blessing and his guidance, whatever you see on this page, this is all his blessings. With his blessings, we are here together. He asked me to speak on Bhagavad Gita, write books. And when I left the corporate world in 2007, for 10 years, I was doing all this. Visiting ashrams, staying in ashrams, spreading the message of Bhagavad Gita in corporations and through the Bhagavad Gita, counseling other people in the business arena, as well as in a social work, wherever it was needed. It was all his guidance. And with, I would say, with Almighty's blessing, I have been back in the corporate world again for now 2.5 years and doing my seva in the ashram of this Grastha ashram and also in my corporate. Every place for me is a ashram. So thank you very much, Guruji, for coming in my life and guiding me. In today's session, as I mentioned before, this is on verse chapter 2:11. And learn to know the reality of life, which many times we all have very, very difficult time to understand what is happening in our life, why it is happening. So today is the series 3. We just started Bhagavad Gita about 2 weeks ago. Now I would say it's 3 weeks ago, the beginning of the new year, very first Sunday of New Year. And we will be covering our Sankalpa, the Gita verse, the tip of the day, practice and meditation. Many of you, almost I would say all of you know the background of Bhagavad Gita. That in the field of Kurukshetra, where Arjuna lost his heroism, where he's supposed to protect the society, follow his dharma as a Kshatriya, But he went into deep depression, despondency, because when he saw his near and dear ones, he could not perform his duty. Though he had engaged into many wars before, he never had that problem before. He was the best of the best warrior of Pandavas. But here, when he saw his own family members, his attachment came there to his loved ones. And he became very fearful that he's going to lose all of his family members. And he might kill them himself and incur the sins as well. What would happen to families? What would happen to women who will lose their husbands? In those days, they used to be housewives and dependent on the husband's income. And of course, the immortality. He felt it was immoral to conduct this war and kill, though he never had that problem before. And finally, he cast his bow and arrow on the side, and he sat down on the back of his chariot. And he said, I cannot fight this war. I cannot engage myself in this war. In other words, he lost his heroism. But then he was so fortunate. He was so lucky that his company, his friend, happened to be a very wise man in his opinion at that time. He did not know that he was a Lord Krishna. He was just his friend. Though he was, in my instincts tells me, he knew he was Lord Krishna. If he did not know, how would he ask only for him? When Duryodhana and they both went to ask for help from Lord Krishna, and Duryodhana asked for the whole vast army, but he asked only his friend, Lord Krishna. And not only that, he asked him to hold the reins of my chariot and become my charioteer. So he knew who was Lord Krishna, but he could not recognize, or his overpowering of his fear, attachment, worries took over. His mind took over. And he could not continue to get the messages of higher self. He came to very low self. His conscious level went to a very low level where he could not even stand anymore. His body was shivering. However, he was aware that what's happened to him. And he explains to Lord Krishna that I cannot engage myself in this war. But he knew about his situation, his despondency. He accepted it. Not only that he knew it, he accepted it. Because many times we have issues, we have problems, we do not accept it. But he accepted it. He was so honest about his situation. And he asked Lord Krishna for advice. And he prays to him. And this is the prayer for all of us in our life, that any time we are in difficult situation, we seek his guidance, his advice, but with humbleness, and also have total faith in him and totally surrender to him. And Arjuna said, Karpanye dosho pahat swabhava, paschami tvam dharma sammurchete, Yachasai syani nishchitam bruhi tanme. Shishyaste aham shadi mam tvam prapanya. I am your disciple. I surrender to you. I cannot think straight anymore. My mind is overpowered with all the anxieties, fear, worries. Please guide me, whatever is the best for me. So here, Arjuna, who was the hero, literally became the zero. So hero to zero means he totally surrendered, put his ego on the side, and he says, here I am. Please accept me. And these are the best prayers whenever we are in difficult situation. So Arjuna became the student at that time. But with his divine company, Lord Krishna, though he was in pieces, and Lord Krishna, who is the ultimate peace giver, I call it, his another name is ambassador of peace, because he actually performed his act and went to Hastinapur as a Shanti Dut and asked to establish that Shanti, give only 5 villages to 5 Pandavas just to live, but not to get engaged in this war, not to be a cause of the war. But Dhritarashtra did not follow his advice because of his attachment to Duryodhana, and that became the cause of war. But here, Lord Krishna delivers his message in the form of Bhagavad Gita, which uplifted Arjuna, got him out of attachment, and he could perform his responsibility, where he said, Nashto moha smriti labda tvat prasadan maya yod sthito asmin gat sandeha karishye vachanam tam. He got uplifted, his conscious level went high, all the way up wherever it should have been. Lord Krishna uplifted him. And that's why Hariharji Maharaj always said that Gita is a step-by-step spiritual guide, instruction manual for healthy, happy, and peaceful life. Sat Chit Ananda. And our series, name of our series is Healthy, Happy, and Peaceful Life, and ultimately experience who we are. So here, Arjuna became the teacher and delivered the complete message. And that's why I call it Gita is Atma Darshan. Lord Krishna, this is his very first advice to Arjuna, very first verse. Until now, there was a discussion, many concerns, Arjuna's concerns. And here finally, when Arjuna asked him, please give me advice, then he opens his mouth. He becomes the teacher now. Just a teacher, not a God here. He has not still disclosed his real form, which comes in chapter 11, that who he is. But here he is just as a teacher. And Arjuna actually surrendered to him in the form of a teacher, as a student, not as a form of Lord. And where Lord Krishna, there is a duality. Lord Krishna is a teacher, Arjuna is a disciple. So there are two individuals who are speaking to each other in the physical form, and it's a duality part. So this Sharanagati, this surrender is just as a student and teacher. Like when we go sometime to gurus or sometime our teachers, and we do pranam, we touch their feet, bow down, and just listen to their advice. So that, and we feel very humble at that time. This is exactly what Arjuna was feeling. Sharanagati to the only to his teacher, not to Lord Krishna. So there are Sharanagatis are also different levels. And this was a very first level of Sharanagati because he needed a help and he asked for it. And Lord Krishna starts his very first advice. He has given 574 verses in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is total 700 verses. Very first verse by Dhritarashtra, who asked the question, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yuyusva Mamaka Pandavas Chev Kim Kurvat Sanjaya. Sanjay, who was his minister, asked him, please tell me what is happening in this field of Kurukshetra. But he also says in Dharma Kshetra, he knew that it's not the field of action, but this is the field of Dharma Kshetra, where this war is not just the regular war. This is the war of establishing the righteousness. He knew that. Dhritarashtra knew that, but he was overtaken by the attachment. And here, Lord Krishna also acknowledges, he knows that Arjuna is also got infected, overcome with the disease of attachment. And through Bhagavad Gita, he gives him many, many paths. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, all those different chapters are given there and guided Arjuna to perform how his dharma, how he should do it with love and devotion, with wisdom. He's giving him all kind of tips there because he wants him, he's motivating him to perform his responsibility and get engaged in this dharma yuddha, the righteous war. But he's trying to make him understand that this is the righteous, this is the dharma yuddha, this is not the regular yuddha, which you have already performed many times just to get the kingdom from other people. And here, so by this verse, starting, what does Lord Krishna do? He removes the ignorance, all these layers of the ignorance. I give the analogy here, the onion. Onion has many layers. When we start cutting the onion, sometimes we have tears in our eyes. And then finally, one layer by layer by layer, when we remove, we ultimately reach to that sweetness of the onion. And here, Lord Krishna is going to remove all these layers of ignorance one by one and take Arjuna to ultimate Anandam, which is called Anandamaya Kosha. He's going to take him there. And with his very first advice, where the Gita is actually starts right here. That's why Adi Shankaracharya, he started his commentary right from this verse, chapter 2:11, because he felt that all the other issues are all our issues. But Hariharji Maharaj said, chapter 1 is the foundation of our life. Unless we don't know what our problems are, we cannot move forward. So Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, Ashochanya anvasochasvatvam pragyavadanscha bhashate gata sunascha nanu shochanti pandita. He said, you grieve for those who are not worthy of grieving, and yet you speak the words of wisdom. The wise men do not grieve for the living or for the dead. Means coming and going. Because they are detached, they are free from their I-ness and my-ness. And then he tells him, who is Pandit? Why he said that do not grieve? What are the hallmarks of Pandit? Wise man, person with the higher conscious level. The real Pandit, real wise man, real learned person who knows the reality of life, who knows the self-knowledge, knowledge of self, which is also called Brahma Vidya. That's why in Bhagavad Gita's every chapter, end of the chapter, it says, Brahma Vidya Yog Shastra. And the wise man also knows the difference between body and soul, birth and death. He knows who I am. He plays his role as an actor in this world, whether he's a mother or father or son or siblings or a CEO or a head of the corporation or an employee or a housewife, whatever the role is, he plays his role very well because he considers that all this is a divine play. I am just an actor here. Like, we watch the movies, director, I'm sure you all know that all these actors, when they play their role, they play many different roles in different movies. But end of the day, they know who they are. They act accordingly. Similarly, the lesson here is to learn is whoever we are, whatever responsibilities we have in our life, duties, kartavya, we should perform well because it's all divine play. I'm an actor. I'm acting, but I am not that. I am pure soul. And that's what Lord Krishna is going to guide Arjuna in the following verses. But here, the message here is, who is Pandit? We have to understand that. Pandit means higher conscious level. Where did I come from? From which life span? We might know, we might not know, but we know that we have experiences. Many of us have those experiences when we get to the higher conscious level. Sometimes we see our past lives, where we are coming from. And when these wise people, they know where they come from and where they are going to go after death, after discarding this body. But because they know the purpose of life is only one, to realize who I am. Self-realization, which is called, or God realization. If we are in the non-duality, then it's a self-realization who I am. But if my bhakti is more on the duality, then Lord Krishna or whoever your deity is, then we are separate, but we consider them the highest of the highest. Here, Lord Krishna is the lifesaver. So we are talking about the duality part, but ultimately goal is to experience Satchitananda. But he also knows that since he's an actor, in this world. He knows how to live happily, peacefully in this material world, with have a lot of energy, with the positive attitude, and motivate himself and motivate to others and be a mentor. But one character is they do not grieve. They do not get bogged down with little things. In other words, they do not have a negative attitude. So the question is for us, what areas am I ignorant? Am I ignorant person, or am I Pandit? Or am I walking on this blissful journey to become a fully Pandit? Uplift my consciousness. Am I on that path? Am I uplifting myself every day? And be honest, be aware. Which areas do I need to improve upon? Am I fearful? Am I attached, unduly attached? And many other problems should be. And that's why it says ... here. So you can just look at it and see what is this. You can fill the blank here. But they do not grieve. So question is, do I grieve? Do I have a negative attitude? And the solution is given in Bhagavad Gita. The only remedy, because we have many ignorances. So the only remedy is to know the self-knowledge, to learn the self-knowledge. And Gita offers all. And here are the examples of, just to get into details, to what are my miseries, what are my pains, what are my issues. So first thing, be aware, analyze why I am in this difficult situation. But with the guidance of Guru, with the guidance of Gita, sometimes it is hard to find the Guru. Then Gita is our Guru. To me, Gita is the Guru which awakens the Guru within us. So we must ask the question, why am I suffering? Why am I unhappy? I call it as a diagnosis. Like when we have some physical issues, we go to the doctors, recognize what are our diseases, our doctor diagnoses. So first we have to recognize I have a headache or I have an issue, which is the awareness. Then go to the doctor and get the diagnosis. Ask for prescription, whatever he gives. So physical problems, mental problems, emotions, attachment, hurts, ego, too many desires, too many activities, too much anger, fear, whatever the issues we have, we do get engaged certain activities. We do experience that as well, but we should be aware of it and try to avoid in future or next time, whatever issues we have. So we should ask ourselves, how do I handle my problem? The ultimate solution is, the answer is Bhagavad Gita. So we took very first sankalpa on the series 1, new of me. And we promise ourselves that we are going to uplift, increase our conscious level. And the sankalpa number 2, I am Arjuna. I am not Dhritarashtra. I'm not living in the Dhritarashtra centric area. I am Arjuna. In other words, I give my reins of my life, chariot, in supreme power, Lord Krishna, and ask for advice. Listen to his advice, follow his advice, and act upon it. And then this blissful journey to uplift our conscious level and ultimately experience Satchit Ananda. But today's our sankalpa is be wise. And today's sankalpa is I am awake. And my sankalpa is to learn from Bhagavad Gita's teachings. Be a Pandit. Know yourself as much as possible. And try not to have a negative attitude. And grieve. In other words, just wake up. So my sankalpa is I am awake. I'm awakened. As we all know that this is a slow process. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's what it says in Bhagavad Gita. Shanai Shanai Uppar mein, very slowly by slowly, very gradually, this will happen. Because studying Gita, applying Gita, studying is one part, but our session is mainly for applications, applied, how to apply in daily life and uplift ourselves, enjoy our day-to-day life and feel happy, healthy and peaceful. So how to practice, how to apply. So this is a lifestyle. This is not just studying on Sunday. It says in Bhagavad Gita, Nitya Yukta Upaste, not just Sunday and into Sunday, but Nitya Yukta Upaste. We have to live in the consciousness of the teachings and applying of Bhagavad Gita and have a patience. So thank you very much. This session, I am awakened, I am wise, I have a positive attitude, and be happy, healthy, and peaceful life. Experience the ultimate bliss in life, Sat Chit Ananda. And now we will move on to the next session, meditation. With the sankalpa that I am awakened, I am wise,